"We can try," Dr. Lion replied. "But we'll need to get close. We'll need to override its core systems from the inside." Rhea nodded. "Then we do it. Prepare the shuttle." On the Empire's flagship, General Kor made his final decision. The Empire was falling, but he wouldn't let it go out without a fight. He looked at the Emperor. "We have one last weapon, the Imperial Strike Force. They're waiting for orders." The Emperor didn't hesitate. "Send them in. It's our only chance." Rhea's shuttle sped toward the Nemesis, dodging blasts from the Empire's remaining ships. The humans' fighters provided cover as they closed in on the weapon's core. "Stay focused," Rhea said, her eyes fixed on the Nemesis. "We end this now." As the shuttle docked with the Nemesis, Rhea and her crew entered its heart. The power inside was overwhelming, but they pushed forward, overriding systems and shutting down the chaotic energy that threatened to consume them all. In the final moments of the battle, the Nemesis began to calm, its power fading as the humans took control. The Empire's last attempt to crush humanity had failed. As the dust settled and the last Empire ships were defeated, Rhea stood in the quiet aftermath, looking out at the wreckage of the Empire's fleet. "We did it," she whispered, barely able to believe it. "We've won." But she knew the victory came at a great cost. The Nemesis was no longer their ally. It was a force they could not control. The future of humanity would now depend on how they used what they had learned. The war was over, but the battle for humanity's place in the galaxy had only just begun. The war was over. The Empire had been defeated, and the remnants of its fleet were scattered across the stars. The humans had won, but victory came at a heavy cost. The Nemesis was no longer their weapon. It was a reminder of how close they had come to destroying themselves. But now, in the quiet aftermath of battle, they had a new task ahead of them: rebuilding. Commander Rhea stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, staring out at the vast emptiness of space. The stars no longer seemed as cold and distant. Now they felt like the beginning of something new, something humanity could shape for itself. "Rhea, we've received communications from the remaining human colonies." Dr. Lyon's voice broke through her thoughts. "They're asking for updates. They want to know what comes next." Rhea nodded slowly. "Tell them we're on our way. The war may be over, but we've only just begun." On Earth, the survivors of the human race were preparing for the dawn of a new age. The devastation caused by the Empire had left its mark, but humanity was resilient. They had fought, they had survived, and now they were ready to rebuild. In the heart of what remained of Earth's capital, leaders gathered. Among them was President Alia, who had watched the rise of the Empire and the fall of their own civilization. But she had never lost hope. "The battle is over," President Alia said, standing before the council. "But we must not forget the lessons we have learned. We must rebuild, not just our cities, but the trust of our people. We must prepare for the future, because the Empire will not be the last challenge we face." Her words were met with silence. The war had been brutal. Many had lost everything. But they had also gained something: freedom. And now, it was time to use that freedom wisely. Meanwhile, on the Valkyrie, Rhea and her crew were preparing to make contact with Earth. They had won the war, but there was still so much to do. The Nemesis was no longer under their control, and its power was too dangerous to leave unchecked. They had to find a way to safely contain it, or it could destroy everything they had fought for. "Rhea," Dr. Lyon said, her voice filled with concern. "The Nemesis, we still don't fully understand it. Its power is growing again. If we don't act soon, it could become a threat once more." Rhea turned toward the view screen, where the Nemesis drifted in the distance. The dark shape was eerily silent now, but its presence loomed over them like a shadow. "We can't let it control us. We have to find a way to neutralize it before it's too late." "We could destroy it," one of the officers suggested, his voice hesitant. "But we're not sure if that's even possible." Rhea sighed. The decision weighed heavily on her. I don't want to destroy it, but we can't let it fall into the wrong hands. If the Empire could have used it, we don't know who else might try. Back on Earth, the world was slowly beginning to heal. People were working together, rebuilding cities, and reconnecting after years of suffering. But the shadow of the Empire's destruction still lingered. Humanity had learned just how fragile peace could be. Space was quiet, cold, empty. But one thing was still moving, a human warship. The ship's name was Valkyrie. It was the last warship of Earth. It floated above a destroyed planet, a planet that was once green, full of life. Now it was only dust and fire. Inside the ship, Commander Rhea stood alone. Her face was tired. Her uniform was torn, but her eyes were sharp, full of fire. She looked at the empty control room. All other crew members were gone, killed, or lost. She pressed a button on the console. A red light blinked. "This is Commander Rhea," she said into the recorder. "The Empire thinks they won. But they didn't. This is not the end. You didn't get all of us." She sent the message. Then she sat down, breathing slowly. She knew the message would reach the Empire. She also knew what they would think, that she was lying. Far away, in the heart of the Galactic Empire, Emperor Vorn watched the message. He was a tall, silver-skinned alien with 6 eyes and no mercy. He laughed, a deep, cold laugh. Still pretending to be brave, he said, "Earth is dust. The last human ship is broken. There is no one left." But his top commander, General Kor, didn't laugh. There was something in her voice. Kor said, "Like she knows something." Vorn waved his hand. "She's just trying to scare us." But deep in space, strange things were happening. Empire scout ships had gone missing. No signals, no black boxes, just gone. A science team sent to explore the old battlefields never returned. And now, this message. Commander Rhea stood again. She walked through the ship, passing old walls full of bullet holes, blood stains, burn marks, memories. She entered a small room. Inside was a frozen body, her brother, Captain Jonas. He had died in the last battle, saving the ship. She touched the glass. "Jonas," she whispered, "they think we are dead, but they don't know. They don't know about them." She opened a hidden panel. Behind it was a small device, black, smooth, humming with quiet power. It was not Empire tech. It was not even from Earth. It was something else. Rhea connected it to the ship's system. Lights came on. Maps appeared. Star charts, signals. And one signal blinked again and again. From deep in the galaxy, a hidden place. She smiled. Hope returned to her tired eyes. "They're still out there," she said. "They're waiting." Meanwhile, in a dark part of the Empire, a secret lab was watching old human data. One scientist paused a video from Earth's last days. "Sir," he called, "you should see this." A group of humans was shown entering a giant underground gate. The gate closed. A bright light flashed. And then the video ended. The general watching the video frowned. "We destroyed that city," he said. "How did they survive?" The scientist looked nervous. "We don't know, but it looks like they went somewhere. Not underground. Maybe through space." The general turned pale. "Are you saying they escaped?" The scientist nodded slowly. Back on the Valkyrie, Commander Rhea sent one more message. This time, it was encrypted. It would only be understood by special receivers. She looked at the screen. Message sent, Elysium. Then she powered down the ship. It went dark again, floating in silence. The Empire thought the war was over. They thought humans were finished, but they were wrong. From the edge of the galaxy, something ancient was waking up, and it was angry. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, hidden from the Empire's eyes, lay an old military base. The world had forgotten about it, but the soldiers inside had never stopped waiting. They were trained for one thing: The final war. The base was silent, except for the hum of old machines and the soft beeping of computers that hadn't been used in years. The soldiers had been placed in cryo-sleep, preserved until the right moment, until humanity needed them again. Inside a large chamber, rows of cryopods stood. Each one held a soldier, a warrior who had fought for Earth's survival before the Empire attacked. They were the best, the bravest, the ones who would never be forgotten. Or so they thought. A loud beep echoed through the chamber. A signal. Someone had found them. Dr. Ilara, a scientist who had helped build the base, stared at the monitors. Her heart raced. The signal was from Elysium. She had been waiting for this moment. The day the humans would rise again. The day they would fight back. She quickly entered a code. The cryopods began to open. One by one, ice crystals fell to the floor as each soldier slowly awoke, their eyes blinking in the dim light. They were confused at first, but their training kicked in. They remembered what they had been waiting for. The first soldier, Captain Eric, stepped out of his pod. His face was covered in scars, but his eyes burned with fire. He looked at Dr. Ilara. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice rough from years of sleep. "The war," Dr. Ilara replied. "The Empire is still out there, and it's time for us to fight again." Eric nodded. "I thought Earth was lost." "It was," she said, "but we're not." Around him, more soldiers woke up. Some were older, others younger, but all of them were strong. They had trained for years to fight in the most dangerous wars in space, and they had never forgotten their mission. Captain Eric stood tall. "Gather the team. We have work to do." Meanwhile, in deep space, the Empire was starting to panic. They had received the message from the Empire's scouts. Their ships were disappearing one by one, and they couldn't figure out why. The Empire had believed the humans were finished, but now they were seeing signs that told a different story. General Kor stood before the Emperor, his face filled with worry. "We need to find them before they find us," Kor said. "There's something more going on here. The humans aren't just hiding. They're planning something." Emperor Vorn clenched his fists. "They've already failed. They can't stop us." But Kor wasn't so sure. What if they've found something we don't know about? What if they've discovered a way to defeat us? The Emperor was quiet for a moment, then spoke slowly, his voice cold. "We'll destroy them before they have the chance." Back on Earth's forgotten base, Captain Eric and his team prepared for their mission. Their target, a hidden Empire station in the outer reaches of the galaxy. It was a place where the Empire's fleet was being built, a place they could not afford to let remain standing. Dr. Ilara gave Eric the coordinates. "This is where they're building the new ships. If we take this station down, it will cripple their fleet." Eric nodded. "Then we'll destroy it." The soldiers gathered their weapons, suited up, and entered their ships. Each one was a small fighter, fast and deadly. They moved out of the base and into the vastness of space. The stars stretched out in front of them. But this time, the humans were not afraid. They had been waiting for this moment for years, and now they were going to make the Empire pay for what they had done. As they entered the atmosphere of the Empire station, Eric's voice came over the comms. "Stay sharp. We don't know what kind of defenses they have, but we got one advantage. They don't expect us." The station loomed ahead, its massive structure filled with Empire ships. The human small fleet moved quickly, evading sensors and flying in shadows. They had the element of surprise. Just as they approached the station, alarms began to blare. "They've spotted us," one of the soldiers shouted. Captain Eric smiled. "Too late. We're already here." The human fighters moved in, targeting key points on the station's structure. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as their weapons hit their marks. The Empire was caught off guard, and their defenses were no match for the human speed and precision. The stars were still. The calm after the storm felt unnatural, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The Empire had been struck hard. Their fleet was in tatters, and for the first time, they realized that the humans were not the weak, broken species they had once believed. General Kor stood on the bridge of the Empire's flagship, staring out at the remnants of their fleet. The Empire was shaken, but not defeated. He clenched his fists. They had one last chance, one final strike. If they didn't destroy the humans now, they might never have another opportunity. "We can't let them win, General," Captain Varys said, his voice grim. "The Nemesis is too powerful. We've lost half of our fleet, and those humans are getting stronger." Kor turned slowly to face him. "I know, but we can't retreat. The Emperor won't allow it." The Emperor stood behind him, his expression dark. "I will not let the humans or their ancient weapon defeat us. We will launch our final assault. If we cannot destroy them with firepower, we will destroy them with the power of the Empire itself." Kor didn't respond. The Emperor's pride was blinding him. The Empire was crumbling under the weight of its own arrogance, but Kor knew he had no choice but to follow the Emperor's orders. On the Valkyrie, Rhea watched the Empire's movements closely. The Empire was regrouping, preparing for their final assault. The Nemesis had given the humans an advantage, but Rhea knew it wasn't invincible. The Empire had underestimated humanity before, but they were not about to make that mistake again. "Prepare for the final battle," Rhea ordered, her voice steady. "We've come too far to fail now." Dr. Lyon's voice came through the comms. "Rhea, the Nemesis, it's becoming unstable. It's drawing more power than we expected. If we don't stop it soon, it might destroy everything, including us." Rhea's heart skipped a beat. "We can't let that happen. We've already risked too much." The Nemesis had been the key to their success, but it was also the greatest threat to their survival. If they couldn't control it, they would lose everything: their fleet, their lives, their future. "We're ready," Rhea said, turning to face her crew. "We fight to the end. We fight for Earth." Across the galaxy, the Empire's final preparations were underway. Kor watched as the last of their remaining ships entered formation. They were outnumbered, but they still had one weapon the humans didn't: the full might of the Empire's firepower. "We hit them hard," Kor said, his voice sharp. "The Nemesis can't stop us if we hit them with everything we have." The Emperor nodded, his eyes burning with fury. "This is the end of the humans. No more games, no more hiding." The final battle began in the silence of space. The Empire's fleet moved toward the human stronghold, a wall of destruction with only one goal: annihilate everything in its path. The human ships were spread out, waiting for the right moment to strike. Rhea's voice rang out over the comms. "All ships, hold your positions. Let them come to us." The human ships remained hidden in the darkness, watching as the Empire's fleet approached. The Nemesis pulsed with energy, but Rhea could feel its power growing more dangerous with each passing second. They had to end this now. As the Empire's ships came within range, the humans attacked. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit up the blackness of space as the Empire's ships fired relentlessly. But the humans were ready. They darted in and out of the fight, using their smaller, faster ships to avoid the Empire's larger, slower vessels. "We're taking heavy fire," one of the human pilots called out. "Shields are failing." Rhea clenched her fists, watching the battle unfold. The Empire's firepower was overwhelming, but the humans had the advantage of speed and strategy. They struck when and where the Empire least expected. Suddenly, a burst of energy erupted from the Nemesis, tearing through the Empire's fleet. Ships were obliterated in seconds, their massive hulls ripped apart like paper. Kor's voice came over the comms. Frantic. "We can't win this. We're outmatched." But the Emperor refused to back down. "We cannot lose. Destroy them." The battle raged on. The Empire's ships were falling one by one, but they kept fighting. Driven by the Emperor's unyielding determination, it wasn't enough. The humans were too strong, too prepared. Kor watched helplessly as the Empire's flagship was struck, its engines disabled. The mighty Empire was on the brink of collapse, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Rhea stared at the chaos around her. The Empire was losing, but the Nemesis was still too dangerous. She had one choice left. "Dr. Lion," Rhea said, her voice tense. "Can we control the Nemesis? Can we shut it down?" In the United Nations' new headquarters, President Alia addressed the Global Assembly. "We must remember, we did not defeat the Empire alone. We stood together, all of us. And together, we will rebuild. But this time, we rebuild with knowledge. We rebuild with the understanding that we are stronger when we face challenges as one." Her words echoed across the room, and a new sense of unity filled the air. The Empire had tried to divide them, but humanity had shown its strength. They were no longer just survivors. They were the architects of a new world. Rhea stood with Dr. Lion and her crew in the Valkyrie's control room, watching the holographic map of the galaxy. The Empire was no more, but the galaxy was still full of mysteries, dangers, and untapped potential. "We need to start thinking about the future," Rhea said. "The Empire's power is gone, but the rest of the galaxy doesn't know what's coming. We have to be ready." "What are you thinking?" Dr. Lion asked. Rhea's eyes were filled with determination. "We need to expand our influence. We need to form alliances, find new worlds, and make sure humanity isn't caught off guard again. The Nemesis may have given us an edge, but we can't rely on it forever. We have to build our own strength." "And how do we do that?" Dr. Lion asked. "By learning," Rhea replied. "By learning everything we can. About the universe, about the technologies we found, about ourselves." As the Valkyrie and the remaining human ships made their way back toward Earth, Rhea reflected on everything they had been through. The war had been long, and the cost had been high. But in the end, humanity had triumphed. Yet, she knew that this was not the end of their journey. It was just the beginning. The stars above her seemed to hold infinite possibilities. A new era was dawning, and humanity was ready to meet it. There would be challenges ahead, dangers they could not yet comprehend, but one thing was certain. They were no longer alone in the galaxy, and together, they could overcome anything. "Rhea," Dr. Lion said quietly, "are you ready for what comes next?" Rhea smiled, a look of determination in her eyes. "I'm ready. We're ready." On Earth, as the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds, the people of the world looked up at the sky, a symbol of hope and a future that had once seemed impossible. The war was over, but the real work had only just begun. Humanity had survived. They had won. And now, they would build a future that no one, not even the Empire, could take away from them. It didn't look like anything the Empire had ever built. It was alien, or worse, it was something from Earth. But how? The humans were supposed to be gone. Kor slammed his fist on the table. "I need answers. Now." Back on the Valkyrie, Commander Rhea stared at the stars outside her ship. The whispers were growing louder, and the Nemesis was stirring. She could feel it, deep in her bones. There was something ancient out there, something that was waking up just as they were about to strike. "It's time," she muttered to herself. Dr. Lion's voice came over the comms again. "Rhea, we've analyzed the signals. The whispers are not just random noise. They're messages. Messages from the past." Rhea's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "The Nemesis, it's connected to them. The whispers are its memories. It's trying to communicate with us, but it's broken. It doesn't know how to speak in words. It's using the fabric of space itself to send a signal." Rhea frowned. "And the Empire? They've heard it too." "Yes," Dr. Lion replied. "That's why their ships are disappearing. They're not just being attacked, they're being consumed by it." The weight of the truth hit Rhea hard. So the Nemesis isn't just a weapon. It's alive. In the Empire's war room, Kor's fears were growing. He ordered the fleet to move forward. But a new feeling was taking hold of him. Fear, I've studied every enemy. I've fought in every war, Kor said, his voice low. But this is different. We're up against something we don't understand. The Emperor's voice was cold, but it held a hint of doubt. I don't care what it is. We will destroy it. But Kor wasn't so sure. We might not be able to. The Empire was proud of its power, but the whispers in the void were reminding them of something they had forgotten. There were forces in the universe far older and far stronger than they could ever imagine. Back on Elysium, Rhea and her crew gathered. The information they had was clear now. The Empire wasn't just fighting humans. They were fighting an ancient force that was beyond their understanding. We're not just making a stand anymore, Rhea said to her crew. We're waking something. And if we don't control it, we'll be consumed by it. The Nemesis was their only hope, but also their greatest danger. In the distance, the first fleet of the Empire moved closer. They had no idea what they were about to face, and neither did the humans. The dark void of space was silent, but the tension was thick. The Empire's fleet was advancing, and in the shadows of the galaxy, the humans were ready to strike. But they were not alone. The Nemesis had awakened, and its power was growing stronger by the minute. Commander Rhea stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, her mind focused on the task ahead. The Empire was about to make a mistake. They were about to underestimate what the humans had become. Rhea, we've finished calibrating the weapon systems. Dr. Lyon's voice crackled over the comms. The Nemesis is ready, but we still don't know what it's capable of. Rhea's gaze turned toward the distant stars. We'll find out soon enough. The Empire won't know what hit them. She turned to her crew, who were busy at their stations, preparing for the most dangerous mission of their lives. We'll strike from the shadows, she said, her voice calm but firm. We're not giving them a chance to see us coming. The humans had learned the art of stealth. Their ships were smaller, faster, and more agile than the Empire's giant warships. They could move undetected, using the darkness of space as their ally. And now, with the Nemesis on their side, they had a weapon that no one, not even the Empire, could understand. Meanwhile, General Kor was in the Empire's flagship, staring out at the endless expanse of space. He had a bad feeling. The humans were too quiet, too hidden. But the Emperor was confident. They're out there, the Emperor said, his voice filled with certainty. But they won't be able to stop us. We have the fleet. We have the power. Kor wasn't so sure. Sir, we've lost too many ships. Something is happening out there. We're not fighting just humans anymore. We're fighting something different. The Emperor turned toward Kor, his eyes cold. Do not doubt me, General. The Empire is invincible. We will crush them. Far away from the eyes of the Galactic Empire, hidden deep inside a red nebula, was something the Empire had never found. A place called Elysium, the secret human colony. It was built after the fall of Earth. Only a few thousand humans had survived the destruction. But they were not weak. They were smart. They escaped before the Empire attacked Earth fully. They went to the stars, to a place no one knew. Elysium was underground, inside a massive asteroid. From the outside, it looked like a dead rock. But inside, it was full of life. Children trained with VR weapons. Young soldiers learned to fight in zero gravity. Engineers worked on powerful machines. Scientists tested new energy weapons, faster ships and shields that even the Empire had never seen. They were not just hiding. They were preparing. General Mason was the leader of Elysium. He was tall, strong, and silent. His face was full of scars. His eyes had seen the fall of Earth and the burning of cities. He had sworn never to forget. Inside the command center, he stood before a large screen. It showed a message, the one sent by Commander Rhea from the Valkyrie. She's alive, Mason said, and she's calling us. Next to him stood Dr. Lyon, a young but brilliant scientist. Sir, she said, Rhea activated the beacon device. That means she found the Nemesis signal too. General Mason's face became serious. That's dangerous. Dr. Lyon nodded. Yes, but maybe it's time. In a dark room, deep inside Elysium, was a large chamber. Inside it, a black warship slept. Not a normal warship. This one had no crew. It was part AI, part alien tech. It had been found long ago, deep under Earth. No one knew who made it, but it listened to human voice, and it had one name: Nemesis. Back in space, two Empire drones moved near the Red Nebula. They were scanning the area for energy signals. One of them beeped. Strange readings, it reported. Life signs detected. The second drone tried to send a message to the Empire base, but the message never reached. Both drones disappeared. The Empire did not notice at first, but then 3 scout ships went missing. Then 5, then 7. Inside the Empire war room, General Kor looked worried. There's something inside that nebula, he said. Something powerful. The Emperor was angry. We destroyed Earth. They cannot be back. But General Kor shook his head. Maybe Earth was not the only home they had. Back in Elysium, General Mason gathered the top commanders. It's time, he said. The Empire thinks we are dead. But now, we rise. His words were calm, but every face in the room was full of fire. They had waited years for this moment. Commander Zara, a young but fearless pilot, smiled. Let's remind them who we are. The hangars of Elysium opened. Hundreds of human ships, small, fast, deadly, came to life. They looked nothing like the old Earth fleet. These were newer, faster, stronger. Each ship had one purpose: revenge. But before the attack, they needed to make sure of one thing: that the message from Rhea had not been intercepted. A secret stealth ship was sent to find the Valkyrie. Aboard it was a young spy named Kai, trained since birth to move without being seen. His mission: find Rhea, check if she is alive, and confirm the location of the Nemesis. As Kai flew through space, he saw broken ships, old Earth debris, ruined Empire cruisers, burnt planets. The war had left scars. But now humans were coming back, not to ask for peace, but to end the silence. Back on Elysium, one of the scientists saw something shocking. A signal appeared on their screens, a live Empire message, stolen from a deep communication link. It said, "Unknown human fleet seen in Sector 9. Request immediate backup." The room went silent. "They saw us," Dr. Lyon whispered. General Mason's voice was low, but strong. "Then let them come. We're not running this time." And deep below, inside the black warship, something stirred. The Nemesis eye opened one red eye. It had waited for this call. Kor nodded, but in his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Something bigger than the Empire had ever faced before. In the shadows of the galaxy, the humans were moving. Commander Rhea and her crew knew that time was running out. The Empire was getting closer, and the Nemesis was stirring with more power than they had anticipated. Rhea's hand hovered over the controls. The Valkyrie was equipped with stealth tech, making it nearly invisible to the Empire's scanners. But they couldn't stay hidden forever. They needed to strike before the Empire realized what was happening. "Ready the fleet," Rhea ordered. "We're going in." The ships moved into position, like a pack of wolves circling their prey. They had the advantage. The Empire had no idea they were about to be ambushed. And with the Nemesis at their side, they were about to change the course of the war. The moment of truth had come. The first strike came without warning. The Empire's ships were scattered, unprepared for the sudden assault. The human fleet moved with deadly precision, hitting key targets in the Empire's formation. Explosions rocked the space station as the Valkyrie unleashed its deadly payload. The Empire's ships began to break apart, their shields collapsing under the force of the attack. General Kor's voice crackled over the comms, furious. "Return fire. Fight back. They can't have that much power." But the humans were already on the move again, vanishing into the darkness of space before the Empire could react. The human ships were faster and more maneuverable. The Empire's ships were slow, lumbering giants. It was like fighting shadows. And then, the Nemesis made its presence known. In the depths of space, a massive shadow appeared, moving with a terrifying speed. It was the Nemesis, and it wasn't just a ship. It was a weapon, a force of nature. The Empire's fleet couldn't even track it. One by one, the Empire's ships were torn apart as the Nemesis tore through their defenses. General Kor's eyes widened as he saw the destruction unfold before him. What is this thing? What is happening? But it was too late. The Nemesis wasn't just attacking the Empire's ships. It was tearing at the very fabric of space itself. The whispers grew louder, a deep, chilling sound that seemed to come from all directions. Kor looked at the Emperor. We've never faced anything like this before. We have to retreat. Now. The Emperor stood still, his face pale. No, we will not retreat. The Empire never retreats. But even the Emperor knew, deep down, that they were losing. The humans had awakened something far older and more powerful than anything they could have imagined. On the Valkyrie, Rhea could feel the power of the Nemesis in every fiber of her being. The ship's weapon systems were now completely in sync with the Nemesis's energy, and the results were catastrophic for the Empire. Keep pushing, Rhea ordered, her voice steady. We need to make sure the Empire knows they can't win this war. The human ships moved in waves, striking quickly and then disappearing before the Empire could respond. The Empire's fleet was falling apart, piece by piece. But even as the battle raged on, Rhea knew this was just the beginning. The Nemesis was powerful, but it was also dangerous. If they weren't careful, it could destroy everything, including the humans themselves. We've won this round, Rhea said quietly, staring out at the battle ahead. But the war is far from over. As the human fleet pulled back into the shadows, General Kor and the Emperor stood in the ruins of their fleet. The Empire had been beaten, but it wasn't over. Not yet. We will regroup, Kor said, his voice cold. And when we strike back, we will destroy them once and for all. The Emperor nodded. They think they've won, but we have only just begun. And deep in the darkness of space, the Nemesis waited, its whispers growing louder, calling to those who had awakened it. The humans had made their move, but now they had to face the consequences of their actions. But inside the station, General Kor had already ordered a counterattack. The Empire's fleet was massive, and soon reinforcements began to arrive. We have to finish this, Eric said. Now, the battle was fierce. The humans fought with everything they had. They knew that if they didn't win, there would be no second chance. The Empire's ships closed in, firing relentlessly. But the humans were faster, smarter. One by one, Empire ships were taken down. The human fighters moved like shadows, attacking from all angles. Just as the station began to fall apart, Eric's ship took a hit. He gripped the controls tightly, refusing to let go. We're almost there, he said. Keep going. With one final blast, the Empire's station exploded. The human fleet had won. For now. But as the smoke cleared, Eric knew the war was far from over. The Empire had only just begun to understand what the humans were capable of. In the cold silence of space, the Empire's fleet moved slowly, like a giant, unstoppable machine. They had heard the reports. The humans were fighting back. But they still didn't know the full extent of the threat. They didn't know that Earth was still hiding secrets, waiting for the right time to strike. On one of the Empire's flagship vessels, General Kor sat in a dark room, studying the new data. His face was tense. He was a brilliant strategist, but even he couldn't explain what was happening. He pressed a button. Report. The officer on the other side of the screen looked uneasy. Sir, we've lost contact with our deep space scouts. They went to investigate the human fleet, but they've vanished. General Kor's eyes narrowed. Vanished. How? The officer hesitated. They're gone. No signal. No debris. Just nothing. Kor leaned forward. This isn't a coincidence. Something is out there. The humans are using something we don't understand. The officer swallowed hard. Sir, there's another problem. Some of our ships reported strange transmissions. Voices, whispering. It's like the space around them was alive. It made no sense. Kor stood up, his eyes cold and calculating. Get me the Emperor. Far across the galaxy, hidden deep in the shadows of a dead planet, Commander Rhea sat in front of a monitor. Her fingers typed quickly, sending out the encrypted message. The humans were ready to make their next move, but they needed something first. Information. Rhea. A voice crackled over the comms. It was Dr. Lion from Elysium. We've intercepted some strange signals. It's from Empire ships. They're hearing something. Rhea's face hardened. Whispers. Yes, exactly. We think it's some kind of disturbance in the fabric of space. It's like they're hearing the ghosts of their own destruction. Rhea looked at the screen. She knew that whatever was causing the strange signals was tied to the Nemesis, the ancient weapon they had found. It was waking up, and the Empire had no idea what it was about to face. We need to understand this, Rhea said. If the Empire can't fight it, we can use it. Meanwhile, deep in space, the missing Empire scout ships had been found. Their black boxes were recovered, but the footage was strange. The images were unclear, distorted, like the ships had entered a storm of some kind. One black box was especially strange. It showed the crew's last moments, the ship shaking violently as the crew heard whispers in the dark. The camera showed only the stars, until something appeared, something that shouldn't have been there. A massive shape, silent, dark, and huge. It looked like a ship, but not like any the Empire had ever seen. The voices grew louder on the recording. Get out. Get out. Then, the screen went black. General Kor watched the footage in disbelief. What in the stars was that? He whispered to himself.